a couple things. I'm gonna share my screen in a second, and then giving you guys a reminder. This is really the first of a whole landlord series, for sure. So on the 24th, we wanted, for me, it's important for people to understand landlord tenant law first, right? That's really important, right? Like understanding what you can do, what you're not supposed to do first. Now on the 24th, we're literally dropping all of our property management gems. If you probably talked to me before, y'all probably heard a whole lot of stuff. I've talked about property management. We're going to lay it out very linear, in order. Hey, here's some, from leasing to obviously we do the eviction and our process, how we collect money, lease ledger, software, all that kind of stuff. So let me just share my screen right quick, and I'll show you. I've got a lease ledger up right now. Okay, so this is one of our tenants. Looks like she's been with us since 2016. Well, that's a pretty good tenant, been there. But I want to kind of go down. And kind of, for us, our lease ledger kind of works backwards, right? So if you guys can see, back in April or March, her rent was $950, charge of $950. So you can see, I hope y'all can see my screen. So so her charge comes in at $950. She didn't pay on time, so she got hit for $50, and then 10, 10, 10, 10, 10. That's kind of our standard, where we basically charge $50 as initial fee and then $10 every day afterwards. And then, as you can kind of see, on the 10th, she finally paid a rent of $1040, which included all the late fees, right? So you can kind of, if it was less than that, let's say she only paid $950, we can, in our system, we can actually allocate these funds. Let me see if I can do a little tester. I don't want to mess with our mess. Oh, there's a cap. Okay, so we actually have a cap on ours. I think that's going to kind of what Karan was saying earlier. So in our system, we can actually allocate. So you see how we got this 1,100 right here? I could actually, if there was a late fee income or something to that effect, we can reallocate. So you can see in this place right here, now her new rent is 1,100, so that's why it's changed. But you see, we have $950 here and then $90 allocated towards the late fee. So if we had late fee numbers here, that's kind of how that works. So that's kind of how we're able to really prove as evidence. And what's cool about this system that we use, there's this export button right here. So I can export the last 90 days and email it to the tenant. And so if the tenant say, hey, I want to know my lease ledger, why did I get charged this? So we get that a lot now, right? We have tenants and they might hit us up and say, hey, why is this? Why do I owe this? I know I paid this, blah, 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 right? For us, this is a simple email the last 90 days to this tenant. You want to know why your charges are? Here are your charges. Now, sometimes we have some errors in there and we like to look at it, make sure we don't have any errors before we email it out. But as you can see, I can email a PDF last 30 days, 3 months, 12 months, all transactions. So that's kind of how our lease ledger works. And then what's cool about, and again, we'll go over this on the 24th, we'll go through a lot of the bells and whistles that we have in our system to kind of track stuff like deposits and any correspondence is all recorded, and even our company line, where I used to let them call me on my cell and all that kind of stuff. Our company line kind of records all phone conversations. It records all of our text message conversations. So when Karan was talking about evidence, that's, we have a gang of evidence, right? We have all of it. Oh, you want to talk to us crazy on text? I got your ass. I got all this crap as evidence. Now that may not be applicable to all situations, but this tenant has if you're evicting based on maybe criminal or just news or whatever, some of the other ancillary clauses, I can prove, like, look how this tenant acts all the damn time. You see what I'm saying? Because we got that as evidence. So, being able to track this stuff is cool. So, no, that's not a custom system. I ain't that smart, bro. But that is Buildium. If y'all hear me talk, I talk a lot about Buildium. It is, I view Buildium as you got different levels of software. You might have a Nissan Sentra, you might have a Porsche, and you might have a Ferrari. I kind of rank building them at the upper echelon Porsche level. So if you only got a couple doors, it doesn't quite justify the cost in it, but it is really cool. We'll go over that on the 24th of all the bells and whistles that it has. If any of you guys are on the call, I can brag and say, what we're going to present on the 24th will frankly put you in the position if you want to go into property management, right? This system can cover, I think, up to like 2,000 doors or something like that. Now we don't have that many, obviously, but it can cover up to that amount, and it's pretty cool. But there's some other cheaper systems that we do recommend. Rent Ready and apartments.com, formerly as Cozy. And I'm sure there's some other stuff out there. Those are just the three that I've personally been in and seen. So we'll circle back on the 24th. But again, that was just a sample of a lease. But a lease ledger can be an Excel file, guys. So it doesn't have to be, if you got 1 or 2 doors, that's just an Excel input just to make sure that you're inputting every month. You see what I'm saying? But the point is, do something, keep track. And not only is this good, and I'm sure, I don't know if Malachi's on the call, but we'll draft him in a couple months, and we'll bring the CPA. We'll bring CPAs in for sure before the year is out, and they're going to talk to us about, the importance of tracking. So, before we even get to that, there's 2 good reasons to track this stuff, right? Karan just talked about that all day today. And then obviously for tax purposes and keeping up with your money and stuff like that, that's huge. So, I'm speaking on that as people who know me know I'm a big data Excel guy, but I was not doing great early on tracking my stuff. I would probably track 2 or 3 times a year, once a quarter. But it's a whole lot easier if you're tracking or have some type of software to help you track in the moment. So,
Hey, I got a question real quick, Onaje,
Yep.
about security deposits. So, say if I'm a tenant, I give you a security deposit, you inspect the property, and you say, okay, you get all your security deposit back. How long does a landlord have to give that money back?
Ooh, I think that's in the lease. Where did Karan go? Did you just burn up? I think you're probably gonna have that in the lease. I think, what is ours? 2 weeks? I'm pretty sure that's in our lease. That we write that in our lease, and that might be 2 weeks to a month or something like that. But they also have to provide a forwarding address and things of that nature. So, but that should be spelled out in your lease.
Okay.
I don't think there's a standard policy legally on that.
I got you. Appreciate it.
And again, next week we'll talk about that. Well, not next week, but in a couple of weeks we'll talk about that. We actually have moved away from deposits in that sense. We're more on non-refundable move-in fees that are lower than the standard deposit, but we don't refund for that because frankly, you're going to have some type of damage to the property or something to that effect. So one, that's a way for us, and like I said, we'll go over this on the 24th, but that's a way for us to help people get into our properties that might be more desirable tenants. Again, I'll kind of go through that a little bit more in detail of what I mean by that. There's Karan back. Hopefully, let's see if we can answer this question when he comes back. That's something that we do that it helps them. Let's say we have a older lady or somebody on fixed income. We know that they're going to be a great tenant, but they don't have all the funds initially. That non-refundable moving fee is really good. Hey, Karan, we had a question. I wasn't 100% sure. I think I know the answer, but I wanted to confer with you. He asked about what is the time frame of returning a deposit.
Good question. All right, so I was trying to touch on something else you mentioned. I'm going to answer the deposit question. So the other, you mentioned when people are asking for, how do I late fee here? How do I do this? Show me where my money's going. A tenant has a right at any time to ask you for an accounting of their money and what they're paying for. And so that's another reason why having an updated accounting system is important, because If they ask you for something, you have an obligation to give it to them under statute. If you don't give it to them, they can sue you in court and say he didn't give this to me. He acted in bad faith. And the judge will say, why you didn't do it? And then the judge will say, yeah, we agree. And even if you have it there with you, just say, well, you should have given it to them earlier. And now you got to give it to them. And now you got to pay their court costs. You got to pay them a couple extra $100, right? But beyond that, though, it's just good customer service, right? I mean, so you want to just provide that information when you have it readily handy. The deposit, so, you know, the tenant has to give you written notice of their forwarding address to get their deposit back. So your time to return the deposit on Texas law begins to tick after you get that notice. Typically it's, well, I'll look it up. I think it's right in between 30 days. Usually you can't use that deposit money. If you're going to set off on the deposit money, you have to provide an accounting with that return. So if they got $1,000 deposit and you spend $500 of it and you return the other $500, you got to send that $500 back to the tenant with an accounting of what you did with the remainder, right? If you don't, then you're subject to paying a fine, you know, if they sue you. And if they sue you and win, I mean, you got to pay the court costs, you got to pay, if they got attorney's fees, you got to pay. So all these things get kind of jumbled in. So, but again, it's just good customer service, right? To be able to show people what you're doing with their money. So having a good accounting system is good for that. So I was looking up the late payment section, the fees. Right, so this is what the statute says. It says a landlord may collect from a tenant a late fee for failing to pay any portion of the tenant's rent, unless the notice of fee is not included in the contract. So you have to have it in the contract. The percentage for any period cannot exceed 12% if you're in like a fourplex or higher. If you're in a single family home or something, cannot exceed 10%. So what that means is if your rent is $1,000 a month and your late fee begins to tick on the 4th day where it says, okay, you owe me $25, right? And then for every day thereafter, you owe me $20. The max you can get is 10%, $100, right? Everything else is presumptively unreasonable. That's what the statute says, right? So it says for purposes of this section, a late fee is considered reasonable if the late fee is not more than 10% of the amount of rent for the rental period under the lease for a dwelling located in a structure that contains no more than 4 dwelling units. Okay, so anything, you know, fourplex or less, 10%. Anything more than a fourplex, 12%. Does that make sense? So basically, your 10%, it's $100 a month. That's the max late fee. Now, your accounting can calculate your late fee as 25 plus 20 for the next 25 days, but it's not an enforceable late fee under the law. I mean, the upside is the judges don't really know that either. I mean, that's really I mean, that's the only upside. I mean, the judges don't know the law either, but that's what the law says. So, yeah, any other?
Yeah, you know, one of the things that kind of comes up a little bit is repairs,
Mhm.
right? Not sure if you have a knowledge on that. I can kind of talk to it as well.
Yeah.
You know, what's required, what's not required, when, that kind of thing.
Yeah. All right. So the first thing we first start from it has to be there's a warranty of habitability in anything you lease, right? And so that's kind of the baseline. So for instance, in Texas, if your AC doesn't work for X amount of days during the summer, that's a problem, right? That runs into whether a place is habitable. Okay, so that's something that you need to repair and treat almost like an emergency. In colder places, I'm sure it's the opposite. If your heat's not working for X amount of days, that's an issue of habitability, and you have to repair that. When we deal with some other issues that come up, are issues around security, right? And so, if, for instance, you know, a latch on a front door is broken and the door cannot be locked. I mean, you can close the door, but it cannot be locked. That's an issue of safety and habitability, and that needs to be repaired pretty quickly.
I'm hearing a lot of conversations. There's a lot of there's been some radio ads recently in Houston around gates of apartments, like the total exterior gate. And is that a safety deal where, like, I'm hearing ads from lawyers saying, hey, did your landlord not repair the security gate? Did somebody come in and broke into your car? Like,
yeah. So, all right. So that is not a, that wouldn't be necessarily, I don't think that qualifies as a security. I mean, it's a security issue, but I don't think it qualifies as, your baseline habitability. But what they're looking at though is you haven't fixed this gate and people keep coming in and breaking in people's cars. And then one day somebody comes in and they break into a car, and the owner comes out, confronts them, and somebody gets shot. Now you're going to be sued for liability, for premise liability, right? You're being sued because someone got hurt on your property, and the law says you knew, or you should have known, that this was likely to happen because you hadn't fixed the gate and you knew crime was happening. Right, so that's different from your lease. That's a negligence issue. That's big money issue. We're talking about a case. We're talking about premise liability where somebody gets injured on your property for something you failed to do or not do, and that's where your general liability policy insurance kicks in, right? So that's a very different issue from something with your lease. I'll give you an example. I got a case right now out of Houston too, actually. Right off of Bissonnette, these apartments off of Bissonnette. This kid doesn't live in a complex, but he visits his friends all the time over there. One evening, he's celebrating his birthday all day. On his birthday, he's drunk. I mean, drunk as drunk can be. Jumps in his truck and he's speeding through the parking lot. Runs over a 4-year-old. Right? He's in jail right now. He's in prison, but the family is suing the apartment and the management company. Why? Because the claim is the apartment should have known that that the crime or there was some danger afoot and failed to warn the people in the community. So what
was they supposed to do on that, right?
What the family has to prove is that the apartment or management team knew that people were either speeding through all the time and did nothing about it, or warned about it and did nothing about it, or that if someone is reported drunk people coming from this apartment and no one did anything about it. So they have to show that the apartment knew of this potential danger, did nothing about it, and as a result, kid got run over. Right.
And I want to touch on that just a little bit more. Look, I got a friend of mine that he trying to not to disclose. He has a business, and there was a crime that happened in his establishment, right? That you could argue that he was negligent for or not negligent for. He didn't have a substantial or good enough insurance, right? And essentially, that person that had the crime happen against them ultimately ended up suing the landlord, right? And so the landlord's dealing with that case right now. And he's like, man, I wasn't here. I ain't got nothing to do with, like, whatever, right? And so, for me, I would say in Karan's example, one thing that I'm sure I'm a hammer on the 24th, and I hammer every time anybody talks to me about this, if there are unauthorized people on your property, right, that they are in your lease, you should have somewhere, you must apply or notify me. Anybody past 7 to 10 days, we have that in our lease, like hardcore. We hardcore enforce that. Most landlords don't enforce that. We are hardcore about it because I approve you. I didn't approve your family, your cousin, your boyfriend, all these other people, because in our experience, all of our problems typically happen with other people that don't belong there, right? And Karan is saying right now, people going to want to sue you because at the end of the day, the landlord is the big money in the building.
Yeah.
Right.
And that's really it. I mean, and your insurance is going to kick in, right? And arguably your policy should be, large enough to defend you and pay off any potential liability. Right, that's the point of your,
But then your policy goes up, and that's
Then,
your
yeah,
expense
and
either.
then
So
you're-
either way, and you know, and again, for the landlords in the building, I don't know if Don's still here. I mean, insurance is kicking our butt these days. And you know, we have to do different things around insurance. You know, the deductibles aren't cheap anymore because insurance is so expensive. So for me, I'm all about prevention on these type of things. We got a question from Laverne. Laverne put this early in the chat. I'm not sure if you're able to kind of address it. Laverne, you maybe want to come off the mic and kind of explain this situation. Laverne. She's saying something about her.
I'm here.
Hey, you want to maybe just give us a backstory on your situation?
Yes. So I have a tenant that I gave her notice to vacate, and she's about to vacate this coming week. And she's asking me, can she leave her electricity in place for a week or two because she has credit? And you know, of course, I don't trust anything she says, so I'm not sure why she wants to do that. And I'm trying to get her out so I can go ahead and get started on getting the place, you know, fixed up for the next person. So is it?
So she's moving out.
She's moving out.
To be out.
Yes, and she wants me to leave the lights on for a week or so after she moves out.
Well, who's paying for the lights? Is she paying for the lights, or you pay for the lights?
No, she pays for the light. Then I asked her, why does she want to leave them on if she's gone? And she said because she has a credit, but she won't be moving into the next place until the end of the month. But what does that have to do with me?
I think it sounds like maybe it's some kind of transfer without a breakage in coverage or something she's trying to maintain so that she can, I guess, maybe readily qualify. I don't know. I mean, if she's going to pay for it. So here's what, I mean, we all know what typically happens. You call your utility provider, you say, I'm moving, turn it on, turn it off this date, turn it on this date, right? So if she wants to say, turn it off a week after I'm gone, you know, I mean, I don't think there's any.
I personally take that money.
yeah. I don't. That's what I'm saying. I don't think that's any sweat off your back. I mean,
well, my only concern is she said she had an $800 electric bill last month, and she's also asking, am I going to have somebody coming in to work when she leaves?
Yeah. Look, are you in the same location as her, or is this? Hey, look, secure your property.
Okay.
Secure your property. So you need to, I mean, I'm not sure how hands-on you are or how often you visit the property.
I do.
Okay, but if y'all got a date that y'all set in mind and you secure keys,
yes.
I mean, and you are you evicting her? You've asked her, you're not renewing the lease. What's going on there?
I'm not renewing the lease. But I did give her a, let's see, well, originally it started because she asked me for a relocate notice because she's a Section 8 person. And I gave her that.
Okay. So this is a little bit different. Okay. So what do you, how many Section 8 properties, what do you know about Section 8?
This is the only one. This is my first time and last time that I'm
well, it won't be your last. Where are you located at?
I'm in Houston in Missouri City in Texas.
Okay. This ain't, look, all right. So we probably have you need to get into the class, the Section 8 class on this. So number one, I can really speak to this now. All right, so let's be real. First things first, it takes forever for them to get a move in, a move out, a change, right? A different whatever. They can want to move or whatever, but the paperwork, whether it's Harris County or Houston, takes forever. Okay.
Well, we've already gotten through that. As a matter of fact, she also already received her notice to vacate. And my neighbors, some of the neighbors have already called me and told me that they've seen the moving truck, so she's moving.
Okay. So I think a lot of that had to do
housing.
I'm sorry, say it again.
Going to another Section 8 housing?
Yeah.
Likely. Yeah.
All right. Yeah. So that's probably why she wants to keep stuff on, because she needs things to transfer. But I think what OJ is saying is by the time the city figures this out, you know, you might run into an issue. But if she's telling the utility to cancel a week after she's gone, in general, I don't see any issue with that. You want to make sure your property is secure, though, just in case she's basically signaling to you she's going to be back for a week.
That's what it sounds like, because one thing about Section 8 is they man, it's hard to get Section 8 tenants, right? And this is what I do teach in the Section 8 class, right? You have to use the system for leverage for yourself, right?
Mhm.
It's hard for them to find housing. It's hard for
Yeah.
them to find landlords. There's more landlords that are saying what you just said than there are people that on my side, right? There's more
Mhm.
landlords saying, hey, I got burned one time. I ain't ever doing Section 8 again. It's a lot of landlords that'll say that. And
Okay.
so it's difficult for her to find another place. She might
Right.
get a move out voucher, or a change voucher, right? But then the
Mhm.
process itself is difficult. You go through the the market analysis section, and then she's
Mhm.
probably realistically she's waiting on the inspection. Okay.
Right.
That-
And she did tell me that. So I know that's what she's waiting
I-
on.
that's exactly what she's waiting on the inspection, and she's basically trying to float and stay in your spot or whatever. But look, that ain't got nothing to do with you, because she's
Right.
already burned her bridge with you, right? Likely.
Right. Right.
Okay. So she already burned her bridge with you. I'm with Don. Don just gave you the answer. You changing the locks the second, right? The second, like,
That she
hey,
give me the keys.
so number one, do y'all have a date, and have you put it in writing, a date that
Yes.
y'all have agreed upon that she's going to hand over these keys?
Yes.
Okay, show up on that date. No excuses. I'm grabbing my keys and I am changing these locks.
Okay. And so is it okay for me to, and I already, along with that notice to vacate, I also gave her the paper that, what did you call it? The ledger that says how much she's getting
Yeah.
back minus whatever, from her security deposit. I
Well,
gave that
so
to
on
her.
a security deposit, again,
Mhm.
so Karan just went over the legal. I'm gonna give you the,
Mhm.
same legal plus reality, right? We not
Mhm.
giving nobody security deposit back upon keys, right? We not doing
Right,
keys
right,
in this
right, for sure.
situation, right? So you get that security deposit back after my contractors have gone through this situation. Now, it's
Right.
also clear that you can't withhold. There's a couple normal wear and tear. You can't withhold a security deposit. I believe paint is included that you cannot. Like, so,
Okay.
but if you got holes in the walls,
Yeah.
yes, right?
Right,
But if you're
And
just trying to repaint the property because it's got scuffs and stuff, I don't
Right.
think that counts.
right. And so all of that I'm not concerned about. I told her it was based on the wear and tear of the property, basically, and I'm always telling her take care of it as long as there's no holes in the wall, and she's taking care of the property. Actually, she's done really well.
So was the issue with her just not paying a portion, or was she a knucklehead, or what?
Actually, I increased the rent, and once I increased, well, actually, it started with her just being a knucklehead.
Yeah.
And she actually got upset and just says, well, I'm going to leave. And I'm like, okay, fine. And we just started the process from there. And she probably just didn't think that I would stay true to the form that she sent me, that she was going to vacate. At the same time, I did work with her. She gave me the form saying, I'm moving out today. I'm like, okay, great. You're moving today. She's like, no, I can't move today. And so she's like, okay, I'll give you 30 days. So she's like, well, I won't have the voucher. I'm like, okay, I'll give you 90 days, whatever. So I took the voucher, I took the date out to, I believe the voucher, it says 120 days. So I took the date out to that, and that's what I've given her. So
And
I've been working with her on all of that.
She has another place to live then. I mean, she's got a place right now, right?
Yeah.
Now the problem is the inspection, right?
Inspection.
So she might have gotten approved for another apartment, but it's a process before she
Right.
can move in. And each landlord is a little bit different, right? Like, we allow our tenants to move in after the inspection. Some landlords are even more conservative, and they'll say you can't move in until we have the HAP contract, which could
Right.
be 3 or 4 weeks after inspection, right? So she's just dragging it out. But
Right.
one thing, Laverne, I would just, in the future, they ain't got
Mhm.
nothing to do with you.
Okay.
So
just
that's a mistake on your part.
Right, for
That's
sure.
all.
I definitely have learned, but I've also been working with HUD as well with housing. I made sure that I went up there to check on all of the progress, to make sure she's doing what she's supposed to be doing.
Yeah, but I want to be clear about something. That ain't
Mhm.
got nothing to do with you,
Yeah.
Okay.
right? So you are doing extra. And the
Okay.
problem with this clientele is that
Mhm.
they assume that extra is supposed to be normal,
Right.
right? So, that's not your legal obligation. right? And
Gotcha.
again, I got a lot of Section 8 tenants. I've been doing Section 8 14 years. Okay. So,
Okay.
You know, like I said, I have a property management class and I have a
Mhm.
whole other Section 8 class. Okay.
Okay.
Cause we love Section 8 when done
Okay.
properly. When done properly. So part of
Okay.
the problem is that psychologically we feel like we're winning as landlords because somebody is paying for the rent and we get it on the first and direct deposit. And the tenants pick up on that. And so
Right.
they ask for an inch and they take a mile.
Right.
And you let them take a mile because of this dynamic of the government paying for it, and we all feel like we lucky. No.
Mhm. Right.
You know, and if you ever take a Section 8 class, you take my class, if you take one that's sponsored by Houston Housing Authority, and they do them, they will tell you the same thing I'm about to tell you right now. You should always treat all tenants the same. Karan's
Right.
doesn't agree with that right now, right? You actually, you technically are in violation
Set
if
yourself
you're,
up.
yeah, by literally being nice and letting her take a mile. If you have other tenants and don't have this same process,
Right.
technically you're in violation of fair and housing laws.
Right. Yeah.
Right. So I'm not saying to be harsh, but I'm also saying, you know, you should always, and again, HUD department will tell you this. I've been in multiple classes with the HUD department, okay, over my years, and they will tell you this, what I'm about to tell you right now. You should always enforce your lease the same
Right.
way as you would force it to a regular tenant.
Gotcha. Okay.
So
Well, definitely it has been a learning experience.
yeah, and if you consider in the future, you know, there's some screening. I would say, like I said, I got a 3-hour Section 8 class and a whole hour is talking about screening.
Okay. Well, definitely if I decide to do it again,
Yeah,
I'll definitely
it's
take that class.
yeah, and look, and the reason why I say that is that look, all tenants at a certain level could be knuckleheads.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
That it don't equal, well, Section 8 equal knucklehead and non-Section 8 equal non-knucklehead. Like, no, you either got knuckleheads or you don't got knuckleheads.
Exactly. True.
You know, so the thing though is to be really firm in your approach to that. And then, like I said, if you have a move out date, if you want to be done with, like I said, we have tenants with Section 8, they paying on time. We just got rid of a nuisance person on our property that was Section 8. He was month to month. No, it's time to go, bro. I don't like, we've given you enough notices, we've extended, we did this, we did that, blah, blah. We've given you you've had multiple lease violations over the 3 years you've been with us. You're a nuisance to the other tenants, all this other kind of stuff. I mean, we literally just like, this was last month with this guy, right? And he hemming and hawing. Oh, I don't have this, I don't have that. I come over there, he ain't packed a box, he ain't got a box in there, he ain't got a trash bag in there. You know what I'm saying? He ain't doing nothing. He ain't moving at all, right? No, and that's where, for me, that's why a lot of these classes I try to host, so we as landlords have the confidence and we know what legally we're obligated to do, and then also have the confidence to run our business, because this is a business, right? How we need to be running it, right? On our terms.
Right.
Now you're in a contract with an individual and y'all are doing business together, but to be honest, we have the asset.
Right. True.
We have the leverage, right? And so you don't need to let them push you around because, oh, well, somebody's paying and this, that, and the other, and I accept. No, but hey, you out.
Right.
Well,
And that's why she's on her way out.
Well, I don't have the next apartment approved yet. Well, you shouldn't have been running your mouth now, should you?
Exactly. So
right, because I got to move on with my business. You have told me I'm looking for a long-term tenant that's going to stay in my property long-term, or that I can do business with, right? So it's not whenever the contract is up. So if you month to month, you give your 30-day notice for possession. I'm a big on filing for possession versus because possession, in my experience, has been easier to get approval for versus payment and all that other kind of stuff.
Right.
It just come down to it. Hey, judge, I just need my property back. The lease is up. I gave the 30-day notice according to the lease. I just want my property back. Why you want your property back? Because I want it back.
Exactly.
And that's or I want to move my mama in, or somebody else, my family need a place to stay. Like, you know, like, no. You see what I'm saying? So that's something that we really, really hone in on when possible, is that if a tenant is month to month and they owe, you can file eviction based on non-payment, or you can file based on possession. We tend to just kind of roll with possession because it just seems to be a little bit easier.
Okay, got it. Okay, awesome. Thank you both so much. I appreciate it.